Good evening. It is Sunday, the 24th of November. What time is it? It is 10 to 5. I've been working most of the afternoon, so thought I'd jump on and do a live now. This is also being recorded, so it can be recalled later on YouTube. But this is just a regular live we do. It streams on YouTube and TikTok, so people can pop in and ask questions. So that's it. We're live now. Just got to wait for a few people to pop up and start asking their questions so we can go about helping them out and giving them some guidance about the wonderful world of mortgages, what we've got going on at the moment, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully some people will crop up and start asking some questions, and then we can help them out. But yeah, it's been a wet weekend, shall we say. It has absolutely lashed it now, so I'm expecting quite a lot of people will be in, having not braved the weather outside today, but we will see what we get, see what we can help with, criteria questions, just general educational, that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed we will get some questions soon. I have got the feed in front of me. Let's open this up here so we can see any comments that come through. This is on TikTok, by the way, so we'll see any questions that come through from there. And that has just moved, which isn't helpful. There we go. Good stuff. Right. So yeah, we are all set. We are ready. So let's see what wonderful questions we get through, and then hopefully we can help some people out. But just before this all starts, I'm going to have a little drink so that I am ready and ready to respond when it comes in. But there we go. So it's been an afternoon of creating processes, particularly our will writing processes, because that's a service that we now offer. So it's important to get all the processes right for that, to make sure that we service clients effectively and help those needs out. But it's just something else we can do. So it's the mortgages, the protection, and wills now. So making sure people are ultimately covered during their life, and their family are looked after afterwards. So it's I think it's a good thing to introduce, and yeah, we're working hard to create that now. No draft contracts after 3 weeks. Is this normal? My broker keeps chasing solicitors. After 3 weeks, yes, yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, it's you can't. The solicitors, the conveyancers are pretty busy right now. They've been inundated with applications of people trying to get their transactions completed by the stamp duty threshold changes. So you'd probably be expecting it now. I'd have thought so. But yeah, how much is a will? So if you're an existing client of ours, we are prepared to do them on a complimentary basis, just as a thank you really to our clients. But I think generally after that we will be charging £100. But part of that will be a complete protection review to make sure you've got the right cover in place. And then, if it's deemed that you need something extra, then we could potentially waive the fee. If your sibling is gifting you money that will be going towards the mortgage, what documents will be... So I assume you're asking about gifting deposits there. So they're going to have to fill out a form or a letter to say that they are gifting you this money and that they have no interest in the property and that they don't want it back. Do banks ever initiate a property revaluation on a remortgage? So when you're doing a remortgage, the lender will do a valuation because valuations change. So yeah, when you buy a property, obviously they do a valuation then, and when it comes to remortgage, they do another valuation. It's mainly for their benefit really, because they want to make sure that should the worst happen, they're going to get their money back that they've lent you. They have to repossess the house and sell it. So it's for their protection. So that's why they'll do it again at remortgage. How long does a mortgage application take? Okay, so if we're talking from putting in the initial application to getting the offer, that's about 2 to 3 weeks possibly. I mean, it can take longer, it could be shorter. But there's obviously the work that goes in prior to that. So the old fact-finding, the sourcing, all that kind of stuff. So it can take a couple of weeks to get all that done. Depends on your availability and speed of response, I suppose. But we could easily get a mortgage application, we could always easily get one in a day if everything worked absolutely perfectly. It's just then the application through to offer can take a couple of weeks. So what's the accuracy of house prices for owners on Zoopla? I think Zoopla just goes off sold data and land registry data. That's why you'll often find there's quite a huge range that they do on there. It's a relatively decent guide. I would never take the top estimate. Go sort of mid to slightly lower mid to get a good feel for it, I suppose. Can you get a mortgage with CCJs? Yes, you can. You'll need to make sure that you use a broker that's got access to the whole market, so access to lenders that will accommodate that kind of thing as part of their lending criteria. But yeah, once we say you came on board a client of ours, then we would like ask to see your Check My File report, which would give us all the details of the CCJs, how long ago they were, how much they were for, what they were for, whether they're settled, and then we'll be able to take that information and match it with the most suitable lender who will lend on those criteria. So yeah, you can. CCJs, defaults, arrears, all that kind of stuff. What's considered a normal interest rate before the financial crisis? I think there isn't necessarily a normal interest rate. There is a sort of historical average of about 7%. But of course, that takes into account periods when it's been 14 or 15%, as well as when it's been down low as 1%. But what we've got now in the big scheme of things, the 3 to the 4, 3 to 5s, they're probably pretty stable. And I think this is what we've got now. So people need to get comfortable with that. Remortgage as a day one buyer, how long does that take? So remortgage, it depends on the lender, which lender you're going to go with. Not every lender will do that. So you'd have to find a lender that's going to be happy with it. Do the CCJs need to be paid as nearly cleared it now? Ideally, yes, but there will be some lenders that will take it if it's still unsatisfied or unsettled. My aunt gave me 1.5k as a birthday gift. Do I need to declare this if not using all money in the account? You'd be best to. I mean, there's no hardship in declaring it as a gift. It's no issues in doing it. It just needs to be a letter or a form filled out. It's just be wise to. What loan to value would give you the lowest possible rate? 60% and below, generally. What do you think of getting a mortgage with one of us on a grad scheme and the other on a PhD, non-funded? It just depends on what income you've got and whether you're going to be able to borrow what you need. Be on a grad scheme, be on a PhD, non-funded. So essentially, if you're PhD, I suspect you've got no income. So if someone's on a grad scheme, we'll just go off their income that they're getting paid today and then see if that's going to generate the borrowing you need. If I sell gold, what documents will I need? You're going to need receipts of selling gold, transactions, proof of transactions. Part-time work, but it's a 3-year contract. There are lenders that will do a 3-year contract. That's fine. Broker is taking 7 days to update me. We are on an accepted subject evaluation. Is this normal? Yeah, because the valuation has to take place. What's happening there is it's the final step of the application, it seems, judging from what you've written there, what I can glean from it. So they need to get access for evaluation. Broker is taking 7 days to update you. Probably means the valuation hasn't taken place yet. They're going to have to arrange to get access to the property to do the valuation. So, these things take time. I've been accepted for a mortgage, but can't get a phone contract. Okay. Well, it's down to how the phone contracts and mortgage lenders do their credit scoring. What percentage below asking price is acceptable? Is 10% cheeky? There are no rules. You offer what you want. There are no rules. 10%? You offer what you want. Whatever offer you put forward, the estate agent is legally bound to put that to the vendor. So whatever you put forward. The worst that can happen is they say no. So what do you do then? You make another offer. So go for it. Put a cheeky offer in. You've got nothing to lose. You never know. They might be desperate to sell and you might get the property for a steal. Happy days. Wanted to ask about getting a mortgage on maternity leave. Yeah, okay. So it just depends what you're going to do following maternity leave. What hours, what circumstances you're going back to work on. So you'll generally need a letter from your employer to confirm when you're going back and what your hours will be, what your pay will be, and then they might take, if it's the same, for example, they'll just take your prior pay slip to go on maternity leave and work off that basis. If it's going to be different, we'll just use what the employer says and go from there. You're obviously then going to have a dependent on your hands. It just depends whether you've got any childcare that we need to factor in as well. What happens between exchange and completion? Further searches, further work, lots of toing and froing between the solicitors. Can you get a lot more money off after a survey? Depends what the survey finds. If the survey finds something that's drastically wrong, say the roof needs to be totally replaced, then you're not going to want to be paying the price you've agreed, because it's not, you're going to have costs you need to do. So 3 options. You can go back to the vendor and say, look, you need to fix that before exchange of contracts, or you need to take money off so that we can afford to do it, or you walk away. Best advice for paying extra to reduce the term or interest on the mortgage? Overpayments. That's exactly what overpayments do. So make overpayments, ring up your lender, make sure they're taking it off the capital loan, and yeah, you will see savings in interest, and over time you'll be able to bring the term down as long as you can keep making the payments. Is it better to get an independent surveyor? Does the mortgage broker gain anything from using their own? Well, no mortgage broker has their own surveyor. We can put you in touch. We can get quotes for you to get a survey done. It's nothing to do with us. We just have systems where we can source quotes for you. If you want to go ahead with that, then yeah, we can instruct it for you and off they go. You will probably find the same people if you went out and did it yourself. So it's just, I don't know, it saves you hassle, gives you easy access, I suppose. What do banks generally not tell you that you can pay the principal off each year or as a sum? Why do banks genuinely not tell you that you can pay the principal off each year as one? They do. If you read your paperwork, they tell you that you can make overpayments. Does TFL payments affect your ability to go to lender? No, not necessarily. I mean, we do a budget planner, and within that budget planner, we include sort of travel, commuting. Some lenders have certain figures baked into their calculations that they just use. Others will ask us, how much do you spend on travel? And it just gets factored into their affordability calculating. Approximately how long after signing the deed is completion date set? There isn't a one side. It depends on your application. You need to be speaking to your solicitor about that one. Mortgage up for renewal. Mortgage up for renewal right now. Would you lock in 2, 3, or 5 years? I can't tell you that on TikTok. It really depends on your individual circumstances. If you're a client, absolutely, we would have had that chat with you, and we would have been detailing that, and we wouldn't have left it to be right now before we made the decision either. How many people can gift money? And is it 2K without statements? Any gift needs to be proved, and you can have as many people as you want, as long as all the where it's come from can be evidenced and they all declare that it is a gift. Would a lower DTI 2 times, for example, get a better rate than 4.5 times? It's based on your income and the debt and then what you can afford. Different lenders have different DTI calculations. It's based on largely what your income is, what your outgoings are, and then they deem what you can borrow. What the most important thing to consider between brokers when comparing service? Access to the whole of market. You don't want to go to a broker that's got a restricted access, because you don't have the ultimate choice. So I'd say whole of market access, cost, and then whether you get on with them, I suppose. What would be best mortgage for a property flip renovation? No one size fits all. How do I know what access they have? They need to declare it. It's an initial disclosure document that we need to provide, and it will say in there if there's a restricted panel or if it's whole of market. They need to tell you as well. If you ask the question, they'll tell you. So just ask the question. Can you get a first-time buyer scheme and save the stamp duty if your mortgage is a buy-to-let? What? What do you mean? Well, there aren't any really first-time buyer schemes. I'm not sure what your question is. If I've already paid mortgage broker, but I'm changing my mind on the property, what are my options? It depends on your mortgage broker. You need to ask them what your options are. Depends what they're going to do. Is it normal to have a lot of anxiety when applying for a mortgage and going in the housing process? Yes. But when we get first-time buyers coming to us, we quell that anxiety because we tell them exactly what the process involves, what we'll do for them, and answer all the questions to put mind at ease. You use a broker for expertise and guidance and knowledge, and so that should reduce the anxiety. How long do Nationwide take to pay cash back after completion? Generally 30 days. It depends whether it's 30 days or straight away on completion. If it's straight away on completion, you'll probably find it's already gone to your solicitor and they've just taken it off their bill. How hard is it to get the mortgage with a default but 700 credit score? Well, 700 credit score isn't really important because credit score is largely irrelevant. It's the content of the credit file for over 6 years. So it's the default that we would be looking at, whether that's settled, whether it's still outstanding or not, how long ago it was, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a case of getting your credit file and sharing it with the broker, and they will advise. I'm sure you'll find a lender. There will be a lender that will do it. Would you go with Virgin for a mortgage right now or someone else? Why wouldn't you go with Virgin? Would you recommend a RICS surveyor on a 2-year-old house? Not necessarily, because if it's 2-year-old house, it's still going to be covered by the warranty, 10-year warranty. So not necessarily. It just depends. The survey is for your peace of mind generally. So if you want it to get checked out and have someone to have a good poke around and tell you if there's any issues, then yeah, get one. A 2-year house, you'd hope that it's pretty much up to scratch anyway. With rates recently creeping up, do you think they'll go under 4.49 before February? I've got access to rates that are already under 4.49, so yeah. Our landlord is kicking us out, but we've not got quite enough for a deposit. What are our options? There is a product where you don't need a deposit. They go off your track record of your rental payments. You have to have been paying rent for at least 12 months and been running the household. They don't tend to offer huge amounts, but it's certainly an option if you are being turfed out and you don't have the deposit. Have you heard of reservation fees from estate agents, and would you advise paying it? No, I've not. Well, I have, but I think that's just a con that estate agents put in there to try and generate more money. Can you still get a mortgage when being in an overdraft? Yes, we just need to look at the details of it. Are you heavily in your overdraft, or are you just sort of dipping in and out? Are there any bounce direct debits? Do you ever go over your limit? Is it arranged or unarranged? All that kind of stuff. I have a credit score of 364. Missed a few phone bills a couple of years ago. Will they still consider? I think your issues are more recently than a couple of years ago. If you've got a score of 364, so I would get a actual report and delve more into that. Can I send you a property to get advice on what you think the value might be worth? No, because I'm not a house valuer. Are you able to tell me Nationwide 5-year fixed current rate is? No, because there's more than one of them and I don't know your situation. I would if you're a client, but not. There's different variables of different fixed rates, all kinds of things. The house we are looking to buy doesn't have building regs on extension. Will the bank lend? It depends which lender you go to. And it depends how much of an extension we're talking about here. It's going to be tricky, I think. But there may be a lender who would do it, but it really depends on the comments by the person doing the valuer. Dipping in and out of overdraft for TFL payments, do lenders flag that? It's paid back straight away. You should be fine. You should be all right with that. Had an accident, had late payments arrangements, all paid now. How long before I comply? Now, it just depends on payments arrangements. There'll be lenders that will accommodate it. So yeah, speak to a broker that's got whole of market access, and you should be fine. But yeah, you be able to do it now, I think. What is the current rate for 2 year? There's loads of them. Don't have an overdraft, no CCJs, 2 credit cards with small balance and PCP. I own 49k. Okay, so yeah, I mean, nothing there would concern me. The PCP and the small balances will just affect how much you can borrow, but it just depends. I mean, if you've got, say, I don't know, top of the range Ferrari on PCP, I imagine the monthly payment on that would be pretty high. So then that's going to have quite an impact. But if we're just talking standard stuff, yeah, you should be fine. How much stamp duty do you need to pay on shared ownership? You pay stamp duty for the whole value, I think. Is it possible to get a mortgage on property with valuation, i.e. Scottish property? 214 a month. Yeah, you'd be absolutely fine. Buy-to-let mortgages, what's the stamp duty rate? So if it's an additional property, it's 5% on top of normal stamp duty. And then the stamp duty just depends on the purchase price. Put it into a stamp duty calculator. Go on Google and find the government stamp duty calculator and go from there. Sent you a message for a telephone call earlier this week. Okay, then surely one's been booked in. Can't recall seeing a message. Send an email to hello@Mellow Financial, because I don't recall seeing one. Is shared ownership worth it to get on the property ladder? Have a look at one of my recent videos. I've done a video on my thoughts on shared ownership, so have a look at that. I'm self-employed, so with that accident, ended up on universal credit, back to 60k plus a year now. Any time to wait? I wouldn't have thought so. If you've got income, just a case of what the credit file looks like. But I'm pretty sure there'll be a lender out there we'll be able to match it with. Is buy-to-let home help to get more loan? Don't understand what you're asking, I'm afraid. Next year, in May, my house will be ready. Do you think the mortgage rates will drop? No one can tell you. No one will be able to answer that. It's a really case of crystal ball, I'm afraid. We're in such a changeable world that, anything can happen. Do you think a level 2 survey is okay for a bungalow? Yeah, I think so. Generally, level 2 surveys are fine for most properties. You'll want to get a level 3 if you want a more in-depth survey, and particularly if you're looking at a listed building, one that's undergone extensive refurbishment and buildings works, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, are you a broker? I don't know. What do you reckon? Yes, we are mortgage brokers. We are independent whole of market mortgage brokers. We do mortgages, protection, wills. So yes, you can get in touch. Couple with large credit card balances with combined income 75k want a mortgage 350. Is it possible? It depends how big your credit card balances are, what your other general outgoings are. 75k 350 though. I'm going to think worst case scenario. Nah, you're going to struggle, I think. You're really going to struggle. It depends what your general situation is. What's the best rate you've managed to get someone recently? 3.8, but those rates are gone now. No problem. Yeah, we don't have any 3% rates starting with a 3 anymore. Hopefully we'll get some back soon, but who knows. Do you think level 3 survey for a house over 100 years old? Again, it comes down to how much detail and certainty you want. If you want total expert look at it, then go for level 3 and have total peace of mind. If you can afford it, then of course you get what you pay for. So the more you spend on survey, so going from a level 2 to a level 3, the more detail you'll get. So the more aware you are. So yeah, if you can afford it, then why not? It will certainly give you a greater detailed report. Can I get an AIP from different lenders and compare the rates? What's the point? just use a broker and they will compare the rates and give you the best solution for your needs. Can you exchange and complete on the same day? Yes. Yes, you can. If you have a lender. Well, you're not going to be able to complete without a lender. I doubt you're going to be able to exchange without a lender. You won't be able to exchange without a mortgage offer. That's for sure. So, yeah, you'll be able to. Do lenders stick with accepted offer if rates have gone up? Yes. So you generally lock in your rate when you put the application in. 3.8, was that in a remortgage? No, it was on a new purchase. Is 4.59 a good rate? Depends on your situation. I don't know. I don't know what your situation is, so I cannot comment. Right, I'm probably going to have to go soon. So get your questions in. If you want to get in touch, then send an email to hello@mellowfinancial, or you can just book in a call using the link in the TikTok bio, and you can speak to one of us then. Can I get a mortgage to buy a house in the Isle of Man? Yeah. 1 second. Just a message from my daughter I need to deal with. Yep, cool. That's done. I want to buy a property in a limited company. Can I get a buy-to-let mortgage using rental income only? Not as a first-time buyer, no. You're going to be, as a first-time buyer, first-time landlord, the application is going to be largely based on you, so you are going to have some form of income there. Do I take second mortgage? There's still 8 years to go. Well, if you've got 8 years left, then you're going to need to. Are you likely to get a cheaper rate if it is a remortgage? It depends on the circumstances and all the situation, the rates at the time. Depends what the lenders are offering. Can you get a lower interest rate if it drops pre-exchange? Pre-completion. So if you've got an offer and the rates drop, it's something we certainly do for our clients, and the rates change, we go in and change it for you. As long as it's before, say, a couple of weeks before completion, then yeah, absolutely. Can I get a mortgage with 25k income? Yes, but you can only borrow a multiple of that 25k income. So whether that's enough or not, you'd need to look into. But yeah, how you find the market? Is it usually slow now? It usually is slow. It does go quiet from probably about beginning of November through to the new year. But there's a couple of things that are bucking that trend at the moment. We've got people that are trying to buy before the stamp duty thresholds change in April. And we've also got the reductions in the maximum discount for right to buy purchases. So we've got lots of people putting in applications for that. If a house is 345, what is acceptable first offer in your opinion? Doesn't matter. You offer whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It depends. You put in whatever you offer you want, because the estate agent legally have to put that offer forward. And the worst that can happen is they say no. You've lost nothing. You just put in a higher offer. So there's no rules. Put in what you want. If anyone wants a guaranteed mortgage with no paperwork, inbox me. What a tool, right? That idiot's blocked. Is there a way you can get 2 residential mortgages? Yes. You've got to be able to afford them, though. I want to pull out existing house to buy house 2. How much percentage do I need to leave in house 1? Probably about 15%. Depends what it is. I mean, if you're going to rent it out, you're going to need to leave 25% in there. But if you're going to live in it and you're just taking equity out to put down a deposit on another one, then you're going to need to leave about 15% if you can. Do you think stamp duty changes will largely impact buying? Oh, yeah, there will be an impact on it. Yeah, definitely. Can my income be considered, but my partner is the one credit checked? No. Are you doing Islamic mortgage? We can do. Can you go over interest? Go over into interest only if repayment ability gets worse due to studying or something? That's one you'll have to speak to your lender about. What are your thoughts on using savings currently in tax-free ISAs or having a mortgage? I'm not a financial advisor. How do lenders see cash ISAs and stocks and shares as affordability? They don't. They don't. It's not income. If you're using that as a deposit, then of course you have to cash them out and have them as cash ready for deposit, but not for income. If I change my gift deposit donor a week before completion, could that decline the offer? Yes, potentially. You're going to have to prove, because all the checks have been done. So you're going to have to prove, that's just going to cause hassle. If you get a second residential mortgage, what's the deposit required? Depends what. So you're going to have two residential mortgages, two residential properties. There's lots of questions that go behind that. How common is it to be accepted with a 5% deposit? Quite common. If you use a broker, quite common. Because we will only put forward an application if it's likely to be accepted. Before that, we look at your circumstances. For example, if you've not got a very good credit history, chances of being accepted onto a 5% deposit mortgages are slim. So that's just a case, we would tell that to people straight up, saying, look, in your situation, you're probably going to have a 10% deposit. But yeah, we've got plenty of clients that have been accepted for them. Submitted my mortgage application. How long does it take to hear back from them? A couple of weeks. Can stable poker earnings be considered as income? No. Will mortgage companies want to look through all money I put out each month? So we ask to see your bank statements because we obviously have to check numerous things for money laundering, fraud, all that kind of stuff. So we'll ask to see your account details. But general everyday spending, I wouldn't worry about it. How much mortgage brokers charge? It varies. Some are free, some charge, I've heard, thousands, which is utterly insane. My current fixed term ends 29th of Feb. When will you look at the mortgage? I'd have started a couple of months ago, Abby, and perhaps locked in a rate then, and you would have got a cheaper one than today. So the sooner the better. You should always look 6 months before your deal ends. How does self-employed work? So if you're self-employed, it's just a normal mortgage. It just comes down to how we prove your income. We need at least 1 year's accounts and tax returns filed with the taxman, with HMRC. 2 or more, ideally. But if you've got one, then we do have a few lenders that will go off 1 year's accounts. I've recently got a new job. How many months of pay slips do I need before I can start applying? It depends on the lender. Generally, go with 3 months pay slips, but there are lenders who will do it with 1. There are lenders who will do it with a signed employment contract. What percentage of the property do you need to own to rent it out? 25%, generally. If you have an arranged overdraft that I'm in at the moment, will this affect chance of a mortgage? Some lenders, yes. Just depends how much we're talking. Do you dip in and out of it? Just need to look at it. What do underwriters look at when going through an application? Everything. Income, outgoings, committed expenditure, credit history, fraud, databases, loads of stuff. Can I use gifted money from parents as deposit? Yes. How long do I need to keep it in my bank? You don't need to have it in your bank for very long. You just need evidence that it was your parents' gift. They will have to fill out a form to say it was a gift and they have no interest in the property. So yeah, that's how a lot of people use gifts. They use it for the deposit. Do you have to pay stamp duty on a first-time buyer, but my husband isn't? It depends on the threshold. Basically, if you're buying together, you've lost any benefits of being a first-time buyer that there are. So you will have a lower threshold that you start paying it. If your purchase price is over that threshold, then yeah, you will pay stamp duty. Right. How long in advance before buying a home should you look to speak to mortgage brokers? Well, actually, it's one of the first things you should do. Speak to a mortgage broker because that's where you're going to know how much you can afford, whether your plans are feasible, that kind of stuff. So it just depends. I mean, we speak to people at all stages, whether it's just to help with planning or deeming what's feasible, what's possible. So yeah, I don't think there is a set time. It depends on the broker, to be honest, I think. Right to buy property. Can I use a discount as deposit? Yes, you can. If you're buying with a partner, can you still borrow 4.5 times your salary each? Well, it'll be on combined salary. And Yeah, depending on the lender, yes. How long is mortgage offer open for? Generally 6 months. Our solicitor wants proof of deposit in our name. My mum is hesitant giving it to us. Well, she's going to have to if it's a gift and that's what you're using. A mortgage broker lied and told me the cheapest mortgage I could get was for $1,300, but my own bank gave me a cheaper one. Right? Can you buy with members of the family? You can do. So there are things, it's different ways of doing it, whether they just go on an application with you or they go on as a joint borrower but a sole proprietor. I have an AIP. How long does that last before expiring? They vary. You'll have to have a look at it. Sometimes about 30 days. But of course, if anything changes, they're pretty much irrelevant after that anyway. They're not hugely valuable, in all honesty. It's just a step in the process. What credit score do you think I need to get 100? Credit scores are relevant. Credit scores are relevant. So to get a mortgage, you need income, you need deposit, and we need to see your credit files, and we can match that with the most appropriate lender and their criteria. I'm living in one of my buy-to-lets. Right. You're foolish for writing that in a public forum which lenders follow, because you're committing mortgage fraud. If I get a mortgage in principle with a estate agent for free, can I use that at another place? Yeah. I wouldn't get one through an estate agent anyway. Don't use an estate agent for anything other than putting in offers on a house. Conflict of interest. How much stamp? If you want to work out stamp duty, you need to put it in a stamp duty calculator. There's plenty of them online. Use the government one. That's obviously going to be the most accurate. Is there a best time to buy a house? Times a year? Don't know really, because we've had some weird times. This year there's been obviously changes. There's been elections. There's been changes in the budget, which just kind of screws things up. I don't think there is. I use Klarna, ClearPay. Can I get a mortgage? Yes. I've read something recently that lenders are starting to look a bit negatively at excessive use of things like Klarna, because they argue it suggests a bit of I don't know, irresponsibility with money, but who knows. I'll just go cautious on it. Can I talk to you in private and looking for a broker? Yeah, if you want to get in touch, you can book in a call using the link in the TikTok bio, or just send an email to hello@Mellow Financial, include your name, number, and details, and go from there. Would you recommend using a mortgage advisor or go it alone? Of course, I'd recommend using a mortgage broker. It's what I do. Unless you are a mortgage broker yourself, you're not a professional doing this, are you? So the example I use, if I wanted to paint the kitchen, I could easily do it myself, but I'm not a professional. If I want a job done properly and done professionally and freeing up my time to do what I do, I'll get a painter and decorator in to do it. So if I was looking for a mortgage, which is potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds, I would sure as hell want a professional to do it. So therefore, I would not do it myself. If a house is empty, how long from putting an offer in could I move if accepted? Can't answer that. There's so many variables that go into it. Do I have to pay for if hiring user broker? We charge $349 payable when we get you a formal mortgage offer. Is it bad if a broker didn't tell me the rate had dropped post offer? It's not. I mean, there's nothing from a regulatory perspective that says they have to. I mean, we would certainly, we'd go in and change it for you as a client, automatically put you on the lower rate. So yeah, it's not best practice. It's not like doing the best job for your client, is it? But from a regulatory perspective, there's nothing wrong there. It's just not the best thing to be doing. We would certainly put you on a better rate no matter what. That's what we're here for. Can one get a mortgage to buy a rundown, repossessed property with intentions to renovate and resell? Yes, but to be able to get a mortgage on the property, it has to be classed as habitable, which means it's got to have working kitchen, working bathroom, all that kind of stuff. If it's not, you may need to sort out a different form of lending, and we can discuss that with you as well. I found a property that is a repossession. Are there any issues with this? Not necessarily, no. Why are houses so overpriced at the moment? Are they overpriced? They're worth what people pay for them. Are they overpriced? We only need 30k mortgage, but want to pay it off ASAP. Possible in 2 years? Can be, yeah. So then you need to consider what type of mortgage you're getting. You want to think about the time frame you're going to be paying it off. So if you're looking to pay it off in 2 years, for example, going on a 5-year fix, you'll be crazy because you'll have early repayment charges that will be due when you do want to repay it. So speak to a mortgage broker and go from there. What are the different deposit options? There aren't really any deposit options. You can put in a deposit as little as 5%, and anything north of that. There aren't any other real options on it. Why do banks lend money based on gross, not net? Surely net makes more sense. Yeah. I don't know. Just depends. That's their lending model. I don't know. It's a good question, actually. I haven't really one I thought about. Overpriced or low wages? Come join the Millionaires Club with Fear for me. I'm not a millionaire. I'm just questioning our price. Houses are worth what people pay for them. Why do you suggest I'm a millionaire based off that? What would you say the average deposit is? Percentage? 10% probably. Is it better to buy the biggest house you can afford as a first-time buyer? I wouldn't say it's wise to stretch yourself to the max as a first-time buyer, because we've got prime examples now of people that stretched themselves to the max when rates were 1%. Now they've gone up to 4 or 5%. They're really struggling to find solutions to pay the mortgage. So I think you should actually always have a little bit of headroom in your calculations. What's the lowest percentage you need for a buy-to-let? Generally 25%. Is it okay to use cash gift as a deposit? You're going to need to be able to prove where the cash has come from. Husband only on the mortgage. I was freelance when we bought. Now I have full-time job. Go join. If you can then join forces with your income and hopefully get a better affordability. Can you buy at auction as a first-time buyer with a mortgage, and would you recommend it? Absolutely not. No. There's a reason a property is at auction. Probably because it's unmortgageable, i.e. it's not habitable. Cash buyers only, maybe. And also, buying at auction is an absolute... We don't do it because it's an absolute nightmare. The timescales involved are so tight that most deals collapse and don't go forward. You have to exchange within 28 days and complete within 52. Not going to happen. If you have bad credit rating, do they take into account why you ended up with a bad credit rating? No. The only thing they will look at is the content of your credit file over the last 6 years. They don't take excuses into account. Not at all. Right, 5:30. Perhaps it's time to wrap this up. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your questions. If you're not following right now, I would massively appreciate the follow. I appreciate anyone that's followed me throughout the live. And if you do want to get in touch, then please do feel free. We are here. We've got loads of availability. We have a new advisor starting on the 2nd of December. That's a week tomorrow, isn't it? So start booking into her diary if you want to speak from the 2nd of December. She's there. She's lovely. She's really good. So she'll be starting then. But in the meantime, you've got Joe, got myself. We've got good availability, so feel free to book something in. You can do so by using the link in the TikTok bio or going through our website, which is mellowfinancial.co.uk. I will just say, though, if you're looking at the website, it's pretty poor. I hate it. But the good news is it is being redesigned as we speak, and I've seen the first, what would you call it? Mock-up? Yeah. and it's looking good. So hopefully in time I'll be able to tell you the new website's up. But if you go to the website, contact us page, there's a link there where you can book in a call as well. Or if you just want to send us an email, the email address is up there. It says it is hello@mellowfinancial.co.uk. Feel free to get in touch for any mortgages, protection, and wills. And we'd be more than happy to help you out. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your week.